What is your primary medium?
Conscious hip hop is that's my go-to. Yeah. So it's kind of hard to break down the ideal of conscious hip hop, but I guess for me it's just the art of storytelling. So being able to tell a story, but just not any story like your story or somebody else's story, but be able to tell that story to where obviously I can't project a picture from my mouth, but I can describe these situations so vivid that when you close your eyes and listen to the music, you can see it. And that's what I describe as conscious hip hop, because it's conscious. It touches your mind. You know what I mean? I've always been a writer. Over the years, it's been, I don't know. We did the whole foster care system, me and my sister, and my outlet has always been creating stories, regardless of that be stories about me, stories about my life, anime stories, whatever, just stories. So I was always a writer, and I got that from my mom. And as I got older, I just started using that more towards healing versus trying to show out. Because when I first started music, I was still like knee deep in my addiction. So I thought I was trying to heal my mind, but more so I was trying to show off. I was trying to be better than everybody versus just doing what I can do, you know? But I've been writing for forever, but music, I really started music back in 2012 is when I started incorporating instrumentals and turning spoken words into like 16 bars and making an actual song, you know? Official album, yes. It's confusing just because when I first started, I had a Tascam DP03. It was a portable studio to where you could like literally just move it anywhere and record from there. And I made like a good solid 6 or 7 or 8 actually mixtapes. Sound like crap, they're horrible, but I did those myself. That was my that's when I started learning everything, and I put all my music on Reverb Nation, man, and people somehow gravitated towards it, and I got offered my first show from there, and it was a wrap, you know? Form of expression is just important, man. I think for anybody that feels silenced, that doesn't know how to talk out loud, that doesn't know how to express properly, because there's somehow this social norm that this is how we're supposed to express. This is how you're supposed to react. This is how you're supposed to blah, 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 blah. And that's not the case. There's no formatted outline for how to do these things, you know what I mean? There's an understandable way, but there's also a way where it's natural for us to break. You know what I mean? We're fragile. But with art, for me, art has taught me creation. It's taught me to create in despair, because I've been in despair long enough. I've lived that cycle multiple times, over and over and over. And at one point I was just like, what's next? You know what I mean? Like, if I choose to give myself over to good, if I choose to give over to sobriety and to give over to trying to live a good life, like, being scared to fail was what stopped me at first, but I'm like, damn, I failed so many times. If I failed this, what's new? You know what I mean? So I gave it a shot, and it helped me mold my art. And now that I see art, like, music is in my opinion, music is a soundtrack to life. Like, there's not one person in this world that will say they don't like music. And, you know, regardless of what type of music it is, it might be some people can identify with, but I don't know when it happened in my life, but at some point I've come to appreciate the things that I hate. Not necessarily, well, the things that I hate, but the things that I dislike. I don't like to use hate a lot, but I've come to like the things that I dislike, because that's somebody else's art. And I had to think about that super hard, because I'm like, damn, why don't people like understand my art? Why don't people get my art? And then I had to look at it, it's like, I don't get a lot of people's art, and I would be on the opposite spectrum saying these things. And so now I find pieces in art, even if it doesn't apply to me, I find these pieces that I can identify with, and it brings this light that I've never understood, because I've never been on that side of that spectrum before. And so art is very important. Art will literally bring somebody from the brink of death. And that's what I believe. You know what I mean? It has that kind of power to literally rejuvenate your spirit, you know? And that's my opinion.
Hi everyone, I'm Morgan. I just wanted to say thank you for watching, and I wanted to say thank you to these patrons who are helping to keep the channel going. I can't do this without you. I really appreciate your support. If you are in a position where you can help the channel, please subscribe to the Patreon. The link is in the description. And I appreciate everything, even if you're not a patron. I just appreciate you being here and watching these videos. Thank you so much. Have a great one.